Have you ever climbed into bed, completely exhausted, only to find that your mind refuses to slow down? You close your eyes, you adjust your pillow, you turn onto your left side. Then your right, you glance at the clock. 30 minutes have passed, then an hour. Finally, you fall asleep, only to wake up again at 2 or 3 in the morning. If that sounds familiar, you're far from alone. Millions of adults struggle with sleep every night. Some have difficulty falling asleep, others wake repeatedly throughout the night, and many simply never feel rested when morning comes. It's easy to blame stress, or getting older, or having too much on your mind. And sometimes those things are part of the picture. But sleep is more complex than many people realize. Your brain depends on a delicate balance of hormones, nutrients, and natural rhythms. When that balance is disrupted, restful sleep often becomes much harder to find. Now here's something fascinating. Long before sleep laboratories, long before scientists discovered melatonin, long before anyone understood circadian rhythms, the people of the Bible regularly ate simple foods that provided many of the nutrients modern researchers now associate with healthy sleep. The Bible never presents food as a sleeping pill. Neither should we. No single meal can cure chronic insomnia. And if you're struggling with persistent sleep problems, it's important to speak with a qualified healthcare professional. But what we choose to eat, especially in the evening, may influence how well our bodies prepare for rest. Perhaps God's provision has been quietly supporting healthy sleep all along. Today, let's explore 6 biblical foods that may help you sleep better naturally, not because they're magical, but because they nourish the remarkable body God designed. Let's begin with a food that appears in some of the Bible's earliest stories. Food number 1, almonds. When Jacob prepared gifts for the ruler of Egypt during the Great Famine, one of the treasures he chose was almonds. That small detail tells us something important. Almonds were valuable. They weren't ordinary snacks. They were considered worthy of presenting before one of the most powerful leaders in the world. Later, in the book of Numbers, Aaron's staff miraculously blossomed and produced almond blossoms, reminding God's people of his divine calling and faithfulness. Throughout Scripture, the almond tree became associated with watchfulness and new beginnings. Today, researchers appreciate almonds for a very different reason. They're one of the richest natural sources of magnesium. Magnesium plays an important role in hundreds of chemical reactions throughout the body, including those involved in muscle relaxation and normal nerve function. Some studies have found that people with low magnesium levels are more likely to experience poor sleep quality. Almonds also provide small amounts of naturally occurring melatonin, the hormone that helps regulate the body's internal clock. While the amount isn't large, it works alongside healthy fats, protein, and fiber to create a satisfying evening snack that doesn't cause rapid spikes in blood sugar. Stable blood sugar matters more than many people realize. Sharp drops in blood sugar during the night may contribute to waking unexpectedly. A small handful of unsalted almonds in the evening may help provide steady nourishment while supporting the body's natural sleep rhythms. Not because almonds are medicine, but because real food often supports the body in quiet, consistent ways. Food number 2, milk. One of the best-known descriptions of God's promise to Israel was that it would become a land flowing with milk and honey. Milk represented abundance, provision, daily nourishment. For families throughout biblical history, milk was far more than a beverage. It became part of everyday life. Modern science continues to study milk because it naturally contains several nutrients involved in sleep regulation. One of them is tryptophan. Tryptophan is an amino acid the body uses to produce serotonin. Serotonin then helps produce melatonin, the hormone that signals it's time to sleep. Milk also provides calcium. Interestingly, calcium doesn't simply strengthen bones. It also helps the brain use tryptophan more effectively during melatonin production. Warm milk has long been considered a comforting bedtime tradition in many cultures. Researchers believe that part of its benefit may come from more than nutrition alone. The warmth, the routine, the feeling of slowing down before bed. All of these help prepare the mind for rest. Perhaps that's another reminder that healthy sleep isn't built on one nutrient. It's built on healthy rhythms, one peaceful evening after another. Whoosh. Food number 3, chickpeas. For thousands of years, chickpeas were one of the most dependable foods across the ancient Near East. Families stored them through every season. Travelers carried them on long journeys. They were simple, affordable, reliable, exactly the kind of food ordinary people depended upon. Today, chickpeas continue to impress nutrition researchers. They're naturally rich in vitamin B6, magnesium, plant protein, and fiber. Vitamin B6 plays an important role in producing both serotonin and melatonin. Without enough of this vitamin, the body may struggle to produce these important chemical messengers efficiently. Chickpeas also provide complex carbohydrates. Unlike highly processed snacks that cause rapid swings in blood sugar, complex carbohydrates release energy slowly. That steadier release helps support more stable blood sugar overnight. Fiber contributes another benefit. It slows digestion, helping people remain satisfied longer while supporting a healthier gut microbiome. Scientists are increasingly discovering that the gut and the brain communicate constantly. Some researchers even refer to this relationship as the gut-brain axis. A healthier digestive system appears to influence mood, stress, and even sleep quality. It's remarkable to think that one humble bowl of chickpeas nourishes far more than hunger. Sometimes God's simplest foods carry the greatest wisdom, and perhaps that's why they remained on family tables for generation after generation. Food number 4, dates. When most people think of biblical foods, one image often comes to mind: towering palm trees rising above the desert, their branches heavy with clusters of ripe dates. Throughout Scripture, date palms were symbols of life and blessing. Jericho was famously known as the city of palm trees. The righteous were compared to flourishing palm trees because they remained strong, fruitful, and resilient even through difficult seasons. For the people of the Bible, dates weren't an occasional treat. They were one of the most dependable foods available, easy to carry, easy to preserve, rich in natural energy. Today, nutrition researchers continue to appreciate dates for reasons that go far beyond their sweetness. Dates provide magnesium and potassium, two minerals that help support normal muscle and nerve function. When muscles remain tense and the nervous system is constantly overstimulated, relaxing into sleep becomes much more difficult. Dates also contain natural carbohydrates. That might sound surprising in a video about healthy sleep. But your brain actually needs a steady supply of glucose throughout the night. The key is choosing natural carbohydrates that come packaged with fiber rather than highly refined sugar. Fiber slows digestion, allowing energy to be released more gradually. Instead of reaching for cookies or candy after dinner, enjoying 1 or 2 dates alongside a handful of almonds creates a far more balanced evening snack. The healthy fats from the almonds slow digestion even further, helping you feel satisfied without overwhelming your body with excess sugar before bedtime. As always, moderation matters. Dates are wonderfully nutritious, but they're also naturally calorie-dense. The Bible consistently reminds us that even good gifts are best enjoyed wisely. Food number 5. Whole grain bread. Bread appears on nearly every page of Scripture. Jesus called himself the bread of life. He multiplied loaves to feed thousands. Families gathered around fresh bread every day. But there's an important difference between biblical bread and much of the bread lining supermarket shelves today. The bread of ancient Israel was made from whole grains, barley, whole wheat, sometimes spelt. It wasn't filled with preservatives, refined flour, or added sugars. It was simple, wholesome, nourishing. Modern researchers have discovered that whole grains may support healthier sleep in several interesting ways. Unlike refined white bread, whole grains contain complex carbohydrates that digest more slowly. Those carbohydrates help the body transport tryptophan into the brain, where it's used to produce serotonin and eventually melatonin. Whole grains also provide magnesium and B vitamins, nutrients involved in healthy nervous system function and energy metabolism. Another benefit comes from fiber. Fiber helps maintain steadier blood sugar levels during the night. Large swings in blood sugar may contribute to nighttime awakenings for some people. A small serving of whole grain bread alongside a source of protein, such as a little cheese or plain yogurt, can become part of a balanced evening meal without leaving you feeling overly full before bedtime. Once again, we see the same pattern. God's provision wasn't complicated. Simple ingredients, prepared with care, shared with gratitude. Sometimes the healthiest habits are also the oldest. Food number 6. Raw honey. Our final food may surprise you. After all, honey is sweet. Can something sweet really belong in a conversation about better sleep? The answer depends on how it's used. Throughout the Bible, honey represented one of God's most treasured gifts. The Promised Land was described as a land flowing with milk and honey. Jonathan tasted wild honey during battle and immediately felt renewed. John the Baptist survived in the wilderness on locusts and wild honey. Honey wasn't ordinary sugar. It was a precious gift from creation. Raw honey still contains small amounts of antioxidants, enzymes, and naturally occurring plant compounds that are largely absent from highly refined sugar. But perhaps its greatest value is much simpler. When used in small amounts, raw honey can become a healthier replacement for processed desserts and refined sweets, often eaten late in the evening. Many people finish dinner only to crave something sweet before bed. Replacing heavily processed desserts with a teaspoon of raw honey stirred into plain yogurt or drizzled over oatmeal creates a very different nutritional picture. Some researchers also suggest that a small amount of natural carbohydrate before bedtime may help support stable liver glycogen levels during the night, though evidence is still developing and more research is needed. What's most important is remembering the wisdom found in Proverbs. If you find honey, eat just enough. Those few words capture one of the greatest principles of biblical nutrition: not deprivation, not excess, wisdom. Even good things are meant to be enjoyed in moderation. So what do these 6 biblical foods have in common? Almonds provide magnesium, healthy fats, and small amounts of naturally occurring melatonin. Milk offers tryptophan, calcium, and comforting bedtime nourishment. Chickpeas contribute vitamin B6, fiber, and complex carbohydrates that support the body's natural sleep chemistry. Dates provide minerals together with natural carbohydrates that release energy gradually. Whole grain bread supplies fiber, B vitamins, and steady nourishment. And raw honey reminds us that sweetness itself isn't the enemy when it's enjoyed wisely and in moderation. Notice something important. None of these foods are sleeping pills. None promise that you'll fall asleep within minutes. None replace good sleep habits or medical care if you're struggling with chronic insomnia. Instead, they remind us of something much deeper. God designed the body with extraordinary wisdom. The same Creator who established the rhythm of day and night also filled the earth with foods that nourish the body in remarkable ways. Healthy sleep isn't built in a single evening. It's built through faithful routines, turning off bright screens, keeping a consistent bedtime, praying before sleep, reducing unnecessary stress, choosing nourishing foods, trusting God with tomorrow instead of carrying tomorrow's worries into tonight. Perhaps that's one of the greatest lessons hidden throughout Scripture. Rest is not simply the absence of work. It's an act of trust. Each night we close our eyes, believing that God continues watching over us even while we sleep. So the next time you enjoy a handful of almonds, a warm glass of milk, or a little raw honey, remember that these simple foods are part of a much larger picture. A life lived in rhythm with the wisdom of the Creator. Thank you so much for watching. May the Lord bless you with peaceful nights, renewed strength, and the deep rest that comes from trusting Him. And until next time, may God bless you and your family.